back with another episode of the Weekly Vol. This time we've got a pretty exceptional guest. Actually, we've got Nico from OX Fun. So pretty excited about this one. I think Mo's just lost us for a second, but he's back. Here we go. So yeah, first of all, Nico, thanks for jumping on. I know you've been in the trenches big time, and I think we're going to definitely chat about that. So first of all, like, how have you been? What you've been up to recently? What are you trading at the moment? Would be good to hear all of that sort of stuff.
Yeah, pleasure. Glad to be here. I hope everyone's well. Firstly, I think we've got to drop it. ETH is at 4K. Big moment. I think it's similar to the Bitcoin. Everyone's gonna be asking, what do you do when where were you when ETH hit 4K? You know what I mean? And I was at a dinner with some other Ox Align people. We were literally like speaking about whether ETH was ever going to move, and yeah, here we are. So yeah, it's awesome. I've been mainly focused on growing Ox. We've gone from having, around maybe 20 mil volume a day to we did like 1.2 billion in the last 24 hours. And other than that, being that we are mainly more so a meme coin focused exchange, I speak to and get to hang out with a lot of the like top meme coin founders, CTO devs, whatever you want to call them. I've been trading some major kind of stuff, things around, for example, Hyperliquid as well. I've kind of long tail and other things. And then small meme coin plays when I feel like I have a bit of edge, a bit of alpha. Tend not to be scanning new stuff myself or anything because I just don't have time. But luckily I have good friends and smart people I follow that do, and they share some alpha with me.
Very nice. And I think, you know what, you actually made a really interesting point where I think to like really find success in this market, you got to really find out like where your edge is. And at times that can be your network as well. I think if you have a good network, I think that can definitely help you in these markets, and interacting with the right kinds of people, the builders, can give you that kind of edge that you need to really outperform in the market.
Yeah, I think for the first couple of years I was in this space, I just couldn't get over this feeling of like there's so much going on and there's like 20 different niches and narratives and they change every 3 weeks, and it's like you just hate yourself constantly because you're like, wow, I didn't get this one, I didn't catch that one, and how did I not predict this thing that I didn't even know about? And it's like I think I finally learned to accept because I'm working on something that I think has so much potential, and it's like starting to really pick up. It's like you're so much better off really focusing on one thing, just because the returns you'll probably make from that are going to be so much greater than like, the odds of you catching like all these other things that are going on. But still great to keep up on them and take learnings from them and apply it to your own things and future things.
Yeah, defo. So yeah, I see a lot of people are tuning in now. How's it going, Cole? I think Jamal is here. Timmy, as always. So nice to see all of you guys.
To the bear chain maxis.
Of course.
When launch, we're waiting.
They just keep coming. Honestly, they just keep coming. How's it going?
The funny one I was retweeting about today is Colt, the Milady token versus the Pudgy, Peng token or whatever they're calling it. Like which one launches first? And I was thinking about it, and I was speaking to some of the guys from Milady, and it's like if they launch post Pudgy, I think it's super bearish because like let's be real, Pudgy the launch. I think if you look at the Hawk Tour launch, you look at a lot of these other launches, like they just typically are not going great, right? I think Hyperliquid was an exception. So if you launch after the other major NFT token launches and it doesn't go well, it doesn't really make the Cult token look good when it launches. You know what I mean? I feel like if they had launched like this week when Bitcoin was 100K and then ETH hit 4K today, imagine like the timing on that. Like if they launched this week, how insane that would have been. But yeah, as long as they go before Pudgy, I think they still have a lot of potential.
I feel like because Pudgy is like such a big kind of organization now, I think they're just naturally going to be a bit slower to like bring things out compared to Milady. But I guess Milady is getting pretty big now as well, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Fine. Anyway, Mo, how's it going as well? Tell us, like, what have you been trading? I think kind of off stream, you were talking about kind of some of the craze that happened yesterday with Bitcoin. So yeah, it would be nice to kind of talk us through it and like talk like what you've been trading as well, because we want to extract as much as we possibly can. And yeah, give us some of your wisdom, mate.
Yeah, man, markets have been going crazy lately. I've been dabbling around with some like last few days. with some Bitcoin options, with some Ethereum options. Like yesterday, like we saw like a 10% down candle that happened in like a few minutes, which was kind of crazy. Like we saw everybody panicking, but it kind of revived. It went back up immediately. Uh, and like ETH has been like outperforming surprisingly for the last uh, couple of weeks. You can say like not couple of weeks, but like maximum 2 weeks. It's been doing fairly well, better than Bitcoin and surprisingly better than Solana. But yeah, $4,000. It's been like months since we've seen that. Like
I can't believe it's at $4,000. It looks weird. Honestly, I got so used to seeing ETH with like being at like 3,200 or even before, like being at like 2.5
yeah,
grand. It feels so
yeah,
weird seeing it at 4K. Like really, really, really weird.
yeah. Like props to ETH for passing the 3.6, 3.7 range. Just kept sending. So
And now
I'd
at
say
this
we
interesting
can
point, bro.
see.
Look at this. I mean, if you zoom out on a weekly,
Yeah,
this
yeah,
looks so bullish.
yeah. We'll probably get like a new yearly high tonight. Probably it's only like
Isn't it
1% or 2% away.
isn't it mad that we're just a little over 20% from ETH all-time high?
Yeah.
I find that crazy.
while bit while Bitcoin is at like a 40% pump from previous all-time high.
Yeah, I know. Fine. So,
What do you
all
think
right.
about Solana? What do you think about Solana as well?
Man, I love Solana. I've been diving into the Solana ecosystem a lot lately. Like you can ask Waj. I've been buying all the memes. I haven't been trading anything other than memes for the last 2 3 months, except for like some derivatives at when I see like a clear opportunity. But yeah, Solana outperformed everyone the entire year, but it's been like a bit lagging for the last 2 3 weeks, which is kind of expected after it rallied all the way to an all-time high.
Yeah, I think we actually talked
So
about this a couple of episodes ago when we saw Sol hit that all-time high, and we were like, actually, it's probably going to come into this blue zone. Look, it's actually come perfectly in this blue zone. We mapped this out like 2 weeks ago. So it's pretty nice seeing this, and yeah, I think like kind of get past this, and yeah, it'll fly again. But I think for now it's in this blue zone, so yeah, this might be the time where you want to accumulate some if you haven't kind of got exposure already. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm looking at it at the moment. I'll just see if I think Mo just dropped off there for a second. But yeah, that's kind of how I'm seeing it. Nico, question to you: how's your Bitcoin versus Sol versus ETH like ratio looking like?
On the platform or myself, what I'm holding?
No, you.
So I have a bit of Bitcoin that I had from when I was like doing a bit of Bitcoin ecosystem stuff. Maybe about like 20% or so. So like not really that much to be honest. That's stuff that like I bought around like 40, 50K and I've just held and like I don't really sell. I'll maybe scale some out when I think like the market's topping out a little bit and think about it. I have actually a fairly decent amount in ETH. I think a lot of people were flooding out of ETH obviously over the last like 2-3 months, but like my thesis was like it would just be the hated rally. I just don't see why it wouldn't still pump. So I'm glad to see it moving again, having maybe around like another 20% or so in ETH, maybe 30. And then like the rest is kind of like Sol stables and memes and a couple other like plays that I think are just like good high conviction stuff. Tau is really the only like solid AI things I'm holding. I don't personally hold like much GOAT or anything else. But I've like been flipping a lot of the recent AI memes on like Base, on Sol as well. I think a lot of it is complete vaporware, but it doesn't mean you can't make money on it in the short term.
Yep, 100%. I've been doing the exact same thing. Really going deep into these AI agent coins, which have basically been pretty much in a mania over the last month. I had a similar kind of portfolio allocation until about a few weeks ago, where like all of this kind of mania with agents happened, and because I ended up like using Base and using Solana, my ETH and my Sol holdings have appreciated a lot compared to Bitcoin. Just because I was basically taking profits and putting them into ETH from Base. Whatever agents I was buying on Base, just profits into ETH. Similarly on Sol, so kind of same thing. So I think now I did at one point have more Bitcoin than the other two, but yeah, in the last month that's changed completely. Now I think I have probably slightly a little bit more ETH than Sol, but it's fairly similar in the grand scheme. And then yeah, Bitcoin third, which I'm still playing around with. So I think I'm kind of happy with that allocation. I don't know which one is going to outperform from here onwards, but I think I'm happy to have all three.
There's a huge chain bias in the sense that like when personally I'm exactly the same. When I make money on EVM, I convert it to ETH. When I make money on Sol, I keep it in Sol. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you kind of take that for granted, especially when you're like trading all of this stuff denominated in ETH and Sol. It just becomes actually so gamified. Like the house money effect becomes like so real. Like you never take your money out of these things. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, Mo, how's your allocation like between the three looking? Not sure if his mic is working.
Yeah, I'm here.
Right,
I'm here.
he'll be back. Oh, there we go. He's back. Yeah. How's your
Yeah, man.
BTC versus ETH versus Sol like in your like holdings looking like at the moment?
I don't hold any.
This is how you know he's a degen, man. The guy has no Bitcoin, no ETH, no Sol. Just
Allocated into memes. I'm fully allocated into memes. I have 10% stables and another 10% on Hyperliquid, and I'm just trying to like dabble around Hyperliquid.
fine,
Mainly memes.
fine, fair enough, fair enough. Nico, what
Memes
did
and
you
AI
think?
agents.
Yeah, fine. I think you can't really go wrong there in terms of like performance-wise over the last couple of months. Memes and AI have just been the things that have outperformed, and even today, like still are the things that are outperforming. So, I mean, I'm sure there will be new narratives that come in the next few months. But yeah, I mean, Mo, you probably outperformed as well. Outperformed me anyway, probably. So,
Yeah.
Nico, you mentioned something pretty interesting before. You said they don't really hold Goat or any of these kind of AI agent coins at the moment. Like, any thoughts on like why?
The main kind of honestly, okay. Firstly, I think that I faded a lot of these things early, and so I'm not so high conviction that I feel the need to buy them now. I think that a lot of the trenches kind of faded these AI coins because they were too complex.
Yeah,
Just not because they're really that complex, just because a lot of them just have a lot of like weird little intricacies and lore and like stuff that you need to kind of like understand
yeah,
and keep up with, that compared to other meme coins is like time consuming, right?
yeah,
Each one is like learning about a new little game or character, whatever it is. And so I think a lot of people faded it. Like I saw Go when it was at like 10, 15 mil. And I didn't buy because I was just like, oh, it's an AI meme coin. Like, okay, like, is it that big of a deal? I don't know. Doesn't look like that fun or anything. And I also know a lot of guys who hold like a couple of percent of a lot of the current biggest meme coins. I know someone who has a couple percent of Go. I know someone who had a couple percent of like a lot of the other like popular AI coins that I won't say specifically from the last couple of weeks. And I know that these guys have been dumping them. So I'm like, I don't know, like there will be a changing of the hands and they may survive. But I'm just like not like super bothered about scaling in. You know what it honestly is? I just don't feel like it's an area I have edge in. It's not something I spend a lot of time following. It's not something I spend a lot of time like, understanding. And so I don't really feel like it's something I want to put much money in. I think I have more edge elsewhere.
fair enough. Fair enough, makes sense. So your edge is definitely, I think, I'd say in memes, given like some of the connections that you have as well. What are like some of the more exciting memes, in your opinion, and like where do you think like memes are gonna go like over the next few months? Because I think like your typical animal memes haven't performed the. I mean, some of them have actually, but you know your Murad's memes, for example, I don't think they've performed that well in recent weeks. Like, what do you think about that as well?
I agree. Yeah, the kind of whole Murad stack definitely has been like underperforming recently. I do think that still like quite a lot of them will have like their time in the limelight. Um, you know, regardless of like where they're at now and like certain like controversies around like Giga selling and like a lot of these things being down. Like I'm still bullish on things like Retardio and other things.
Yeah,
Um, I think that you're going to see. I had conversations with people a couple months ago where they were like, "Oh, I think WIF's going to go to 10 billion or whatever it is," and like it probably will. Like, don't get me wrong. But like the reason I was contesting that at the time was because I just felt like people were bored at WIF at that time, and I think that what you've seen recently with like Chill Guy going to like 600 mil like virtually overnight, and like um, you know Mudeng's been more of a slow grind up, but like my general point is that there can be huge multi-billion-dollar memes, but like things will still pop up out of nowhere and like almost dwarf the biggest guys. Um, but at the same time, there can only be so many big memes at the top, and so I think that it's just a different style of trading whereby if you're very good at catching these things early and basically seeing where awareness is shifting to, then there's going to be a lot more memes this cycle, I think, in the sort of like 10 to 50 mil range. So there'll be a couple like of these really big ones that like get to a billion, break a couple billion, that kind of thing. But because of just how easy it is to launch memes now, you just have this entire new category of whether you want to call it the trenches or something else, to basically make money in every day, right? And I think that it's the equivalent of like last cycle people trading like all of the altcoins. I just think that like this time you've got so much more opportunities and risk as well, obviously, but to choose from in these very low cap meme coins. And because of the fact that these things are tied to real world events, real world people, characters, and people can just be super creative and make absolute random meme coins, there's just literally like crazy opportunities every day. Whereas last cycle, to be able to trade a coin full stop, usually it meant like this coin represents a legit project with a legit team that raised money, that's been building for at least for a couple months, if not longer, etc., etc. There was just so much more that went into it. So the like financialization this cycle of like what you can trade is like immense. Like that's why we like list all of these things super early on Ox, so you can like come and trade them with leverage if you want to be like even more degen, and have like a bit of security around it as well, instead of like trading on chain. It's like that's why the opportunity is there, and
but
why we like we're very heavy on that.
But even like making a meme today, like there's still a crazy amount of work that needs to get put into it if you really want to make it a success. And
Agree with that, yeah.
even the like the number of people that you need to organize things, the marketing that you have to do, the videos that you have to make, or like the coordination that you have to do, you need like I'd say like a 3-man team probably isn't even enough at times, like to really make something big. And then even then, like you just get capped at like that 50 to 100 mil mark, and like breaking that, I found memes have really struggled with that a lot. You've got not that many memes. I mean, you could probably say maybe 20 or 30 maybe memes that are above like 500 mil, maybe even less than that.
Yeah, I agree. Running memes is not easy by any means. I've seen a lot of people try and fail. But the point is that there's no tech behind it. So it's like because I think like you remember you know this, right? Like running a token is like running another business, right? You can have a project, but a lot of the time the token side is a whole nother like story. So if you split those things into two sections, then now at least you're not having to worry about the tech side. You're just having to worry about the token side, the content, all this kind of stuff. Not easy by any means. It's just slightly less intense than maybe having a project. More intense in the short term, but it just means you maybe don't need to raise money, you don't need to go through that process, you don't need to build crazy tech stacks and stuff like that. You can just throw this thing out there, and if people like it, then they can feel free to speculate.
What do you think about VC memes or like memes or like community protocols who like maybe do pre-sales or raise money and really hype things up beforehand? Do you think those memes are basically doomed to fail? I saw the Haley meme coin like the other day, which
For
was a
sure.
complete mess. Like like for me anyway, I prefer like these organic memes that just come out of nowhere. Everyone has like an equal chance to buy in, just like GOAT, right? You could have bought it at 5 mil, 10 mil. You could have bought it at 1 mil, even if you were paying attention. It didn't like it wasn't like a 5 minute thing where like if you don't buy in the first 5 minutes of launch, like you're screwed, you know? It wasn't anything like that. What do you think about that kind of stuff? Same question to you as
Sure.
well, Mo.
Mo, if you want to go first, feel free.
No, that's fine. You can go first. I don't mind.
So let's start with the Hawk Tour stuff. So I actually met the founder of the Hawk Tour token, who's Haley's like manager basically. I met him in Korea, spent some time with him, had a chat about things, and I mean, look, he seemed like a nice guy when I met him. I think there's a lot of like hate around him and the token and everything, and I think you know, things could always be managed better. But I'm not really going to speak on that. But like, I think the issue was they raised money in the pre-sale, which I think is totally fine. I think it's okay to raise money. The issue was that they didn't put any vesting on the early investors. So these investors basically just got like a pretty good entry,
No,
and they were allowed to like completely cheat their shit on the market for like a 3-4x within like a couple minutes from launch if they wanted to. So like even if all they did was like take initials or something like that, then like already you've got this like sell pressure on the quote unquote like retail that buy it. Now, is retail really buying that token? Like probably not. It's really just like crypto people speculating on retail people buying it. But either way, yeah. I mean, and the sad thing is like when you set such a psychological like relative high of like that thing running up to 500 mil and then retracing back down to like 20, it just makes it psychologically so hard for this thing to ever like get above that, right? The reason Hyperliquid did so well was because they basically masked how they were going to distribute all these points and like money in the form of a token, right? So like every week people were having to like treasure hunt as to like how many points am I going to get based on my volume, OI, which pairs I'm trading, whether that be like the spot memes on Hyperliquid or like the actual per pairs, et cetera, et cetera. And so you had these communities of hundreds of guys like trying to like mine this thing, figure it out, understand it. If like from the start they had just said, hey, we're going to give this many points per volume, we're going to do this, this, and this, there would have been there would have been nothing to figure out, and it would have just probably got like, somewhat sybiled to shit. And so it's like the same thing here. It's like if you give everyone all these like very public terms and like you say they can sell whenever, like it's going to be very complicated and it's going to become very PvP. But if they kind of like maybe didn't speak about it quite so much and it was like had the right kind of terms on the investors, then I think that having a pre-sale can work, right? Because like you said, like as we discussed and we could discuss, like launching a meme coin and running a meme coin is not easy, and so you do actually need money. And so if you need that money to be from raising, then it can work. At the end of the day, the best marketing is like green candles. So if you have money to put into the char, you have some other mechanism, then you can still be very successful. I don't think VC stuff is bad. I just think that it needs to be well done.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
100%, man. Oh, man, you stated it perfectly. Every point I would have said, you mentioned every single possible outcome. Like, and you're right. You're 100% right. Like the way they did it was super sketchy.
Are there any? Is there anything kind of on both of your radars at the moment? Like maybe not even just meme coins. Like what else are you kind of looking at the moment? Maybe meme coins as well. Yeah, would be nice to look into. Maybe Mo, you want to
Always.
start first? Like, okay, what sector of meme coins are you buying? AI agents now? Or are you like looking to rotate back to animal coins? Is there a new some new meta that's about to come out that's kind of interesting to you?
I'm basically just trading these AI because I see like the hype is there. Most of the hype of animal coins has been sucked out. It will eventually go back, but currently like there's no point trying to day trade with the animal coins. It's probably a better uh, a better choice to like accumulate, like keep accumulating. But
What about you, Nico?
I would say, let me think. So honestly, I'm holding a lot of Ox because I think it's extremely undervalued as a token. Um, Shameless plug, but I'll just say it. We burn all of our fees from the exchange, and we use all of our revenue to buy back the token. And both our fees and our revenue right now are pretty crazy. So that's been doing well. It's like up pretty much like 10x from the lows over the last like 2 months. Um, Outside of that, I have a couple high conviction memes that I am holding and like haven't sold, like still holding things like Retardio, for example. I have a couple of like small speculative memes that I just think are good narratives. Like, for example, various like cats and dogs. Like, there's a coin called Pajamas. It's a cat coin that was the first cat on YouTube. And it's
Nice.
like and the coin is actually run by the ex YouTube like CTO, so it's like
That's fine.
super legit. I've even met the guy, and it's a similar thesis to like there was this coin called Geico Cat a couple of months ago, that went from like 4 or 5 mil to like I think it topped out around like 80 mil. That one of the mechanism guys showed to me, and it was like in theory this was like one of the first cats on the internet back in like 1998 or something like that on this thing called 2chan that was like a Japanese built forum that was like pre 4chan, right? And I was like, there's just so much like provenance in that I was like, okay, let me hold some of this. Like, it's not gonna go down. Like the guys who are holding it now are like diehard believers, and it ended up paying off really well. And so I'm kind of doing a similar thing with this. Um, I know some of the guys from the Shrub on ETH team as well, which is like Elon's hedgehog. And I think that I think Doge is a very obvious bet this cycle. I think I have a lot of friends who longed Doge at the bottom with leverage, and did really fucking well on that move. And so I kind of see Shrub as a kind of like the potential Doge beta of this cycle. There's a lot of like hidden terminology and like Tesla adverts and the website around like this. You may or may not have seen it, but it's like this meme of this hedgehog, and it's like saying, "Haha, yes." It's super random, but there's like I think that coin can do really well. It runs like 200 mil. It's like back down to like 50 mil. You can do so well buying a lot of these once very popular memes that like kind of went up too high too fast. Things like Mudang, for example, things like Fwog, that then come back on crazy pullbacks, right? Luce was another good example. I traded Luce from like 9 mil to 90 mil. It then pulled back to like 40. You got a great entry before it then ripped to like 200 again.
Yeah.
Mudeng did the exact same thing. It pulled back to around, I traded from like 15, 20 mil to like 80, 90 mil. I sold way too early. It went to like a couple hundred, but it then came back down to like 80 mil. And I was like, you know what? I think Mudeng is a good buy here. And then it got listed on Binance. And I woke up one day up crazy, and I was like, damn, let's fucking go. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
you just got to kind of like see where the attention shifts, and when people forget about these like high conviction memes, you can scale in.
I don't want to talk about Mudeng because I longed it, thinking, oh look, this is looking pretty good, like way too high, and it ended up getting liquidated on the day of the exchange listing.
What?
I wasn't monitoring it properly, and yeah, definitely should have added some margin. That one candle would have like completely sorted me out, but yeah, that was stupid of me. But I completely agree with you. I think some of those I like those kind of trades on memes. Those memes that have actually performed really well in the past, have like pretty good mind share still, but like have retraced like 70-80%. So maybe I'll be honest, I haven't checked in a while, but some of those OG ones like Joe Coin, or maybe
Oh, Joe, I fucking love Joe, man.
yeah,
I was seeing it everywhere, like on my Telegram, like every sticker someone was sending me was a Joe sticker. And I
yeah.
was looking at the chart, and I was like, this was
I
when
mean,
it was
let's look at
around
it.
like,
Let's look at it. Let's
yeah,
look
let's
at it.
look at Joe. It was around like 20 mil, something like that. And I was like, you know what? I was like, this thing, it has to go. Like it has to go at some point. And it finally like ripped to like 60 mil or something. And I was like, I knew this shit, man. I was
Yeah,
just
like
seeing
so
it
this is what I
everywhere.
mean. Like I remember, so this was at the same time as like with HPass, those kind of memes, and then like completely went even like as far as like September. like pretty like really big retraces, but like these memes like still have like pretty good mind share, and like I still see the memes everywhere, and like they're not going away. So I like kind of those trades. So like if this ever came back down anywhere down here, like oh yeah, I'd be like, interesting. 20 million Joe coin, not too bad. I mean, I don't know how's HPOS even doing. Like that's the kind of coin that
HPOS is in theory releasing something on. Did they decide they want to do it on Berachain now? It was going to be an EVM. Now I think it's a Berachain thing or Monad or something.
Yeah, so they've got blockchain. That's what it's called. And look, this kind of did a similar thing where I think this has generally been a pretty weird coin to trade because of like these ongoing like peaks that it had, but then like kind of broke it and finally like absolutely ripped up. But like now it's kind of consolidating. I think if this ever kind of went back down here again, like I would be like pretty interested in this as well.
Yeah, I agree. Right now I think at first I want to look at all of these things and I want to say, you know what, it looks pretty good here. Realistically, I don't actually think buying here is that great of an idea.
No,
Like
I agree.
I kind of think market's going to cool down over the next like couple of weeks or so.
Yeah.
And you're going to actually see a lot of these things get smacked pretty hard. But like there's always more opportunities on these things.
I think that's why I'm like kind of keeping an eye on Goat here, because like I mean, if I zoom out a little bit, Goat went on this crazy run, and like I think a lot of people are saying like, oh yeah, look, these AI coins are gonna die out because there's gonna be something new and more shiny that comes out. But like I think like if we get a pullback and this ever comes like back down here again, I think like eventually I can see something like Goat being like the OG, like having some sort of comeback big time in future. So for me, like this would be the place where I would be like accumulating. Like once it kind of cools down, calms down, really pulls back, you've got that big 50% plus kind of correction there, which happens on all memes. I mean, it happened even on like WIF and some of these other memes as well. You do get these big corrections, and I think when that does happen, like that's the time where you can kind of comfortably start like really dollar cost averaging in aggressively.
What do you think about the thesis of the reason why something like Go is made very bullish? Because it's like constantly iterating somewhat on its own, or very well orchestratedly made to look like it.
I think that's one component of like why AI agents are pretty interesting, because like they do get upgraded and they do get better and better with time. But I think like this like the innovations are much more faster with like the new teams that are kind of building stuff. So like the agent, like let's say for Goat to ever get anywhere near, let's say imagine Goat decides to like Truth of Terminal decides to like start giving alpha on like meme coins or something like AI XBT. I think like by the time it manages to do something like that, AI XBT will be like even better, and like we'll have like 3 different versions of itself, like doing videos and all kinds of stuff, so and probably by then there'll be something even more crazier that comes out with AI. Like, so I think like this is one of the things that, especially with the more fundamental AI coins, like the AI agent coins, the fundamental ones I'm less keen on, just because like I just know there's going to be an upgraded version of this, because everything open source, there's going to be some sort of upgrade to it. So it's really hard for me to bet on like individual agent coins, just because I know like
one of the guys in our office, he had 7% of AI XPT total supply that he exited the whole thing by the time it got to like around 50-60 mil, and he made I think between 1 to 2 mil. But like, man, if he'd like, because he'd sold like I think most of that 7% by the time it got to like 50 mil, and then he sold the remaining like 1% around 50-60 mil. But this thing went to 300 mil, man. Like he could have had 7% of this thing. It would have been insane.
Yeah, the thing is, I mean, I think if like with that supply overhang, I would be really surprised if it got that far. I think he had to sacrifice himself for the chart.
Yeah. I mean, hey, I mean, maybe if he hadn't sold, it would have gone up only. But I think that pullbacks are
Maybe.
very healthy for these meme coin charts. Otherwise, like the faster they go up, the faster they go down. You see a lot of guys, and like people painting charts with meme coins is like very real. It's super real. If you have enough money, you can just like market make your own charts. Really, just support lows enough and and like clip tops to make kind of like decide where a healthy amount of pump is, where to call it a day.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I mean, for example, right, look at the pump from like 15 cents to like 30 cents. Like, look how far it drew back, like how much of that move it retraced, basically, right?
Yeah, like 37% in like 2 days, 1 day.
Yeah, I mean, and it went up 50% and retraced 35. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So whereas like you see the kind of moves before it where it like steps up a little bit more slowly, those pullbacks are not as harsh.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is one that I've enjoyed quite nicely. So I've been pretty happy with this one,
What do
actually.
you think about the tech? What do you think about the tech though? Like, let's be
Um,
real.
I don't think the tech is that impressive at all, actually. So look, the tweets that AI XBT come out with are just based on like a lot of the people that you already follow on CT. In fact, I'm pretty convinced that AI XBT even took inspiration from one of my tweets that I made about IVX. And then AI XBT tweeted about IVX like a couple of hours after I tweeted it. So yeah, I think like the actual alpha that you get from it, some people might think it's really good. I didn't think it's that good. I do think though that if AI, and I think the team behind AXPT actually realized it, that the actual content is good, but it's not that good right now. The whole trade is purely based on attention, right? Nothing to do with how good like the fundamentals are. I do think though that this can improve significantly more. I think if they had graphics, if they started posting charts, started posting videos, then like okay, you're talking about something that's pretty interesting. And I think if they sort out the tokenomics a little bit as well, like I think they've got this hold to access model where you need to have like 600,000 AXBT tokens, which I think for a lot of
Yeah,
people
just to get access even to the
to
feed
the
is like kind
terminal.
of dumb.
Yeah, it's like before when XBT was like a 5 million market cap coin. Sure, okay, you're paying a couple of $1,000 and you get exposure to it. Okay, not the worst thing in the world. Now I don't even know how much it costs. Maybe it's 100,000 plus. Actually, probably more than that. 150K to just get access to the terminal. So they need like some. If they want something good tech wise, then they need to like give access to people to actually enjoy the tech, which I think they're doing as well. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Right now, I think we're still playing a bit of musical chairs with like all of these new AI coins, and it's just a case of like, okay, jump into the new one when it launches. A prime example of this was like AI XBT tweeted about a new token called Chaos. Don't know what
Oh
it
yeah,
is
chaos.
actually, right?
I
But
know,
it's
I
just
know what it is. It's basically so. I actually know the team that made it possible. So basically, these guys called Imperial, spelt, and the ticker is EMP. They build a lot of. They're kind of like a studio. They build a lot of tech. They built a lot of the like wallet kind of like infrastructure stuff for Banana Gun,
oh yeah,
and for a couple other like big projects. And it was basically an ecosystem token that earned like revenue from like all of the projects that they built various parts of tech for. They also built a lot of stuff for like Unibot back in the day and a couple other big like trading infra guys. And some of the guys from there had a really impressive Twitter stack. And so they basically used it to create like a pump fund type thing, which lets you like launch a tweet by launch a token by doing a tweet.
oh I see, I see, I see.
This has been done by other people already. Like it's not like they were the first to let someone launch a coin by tweeting what the ticker could be and stuff, but they applied it to the AI agent kind of sector. And so they were able to like, I guess, gaslight AI XBT into giving them a ticker and like doing a token. So that like got a lot of attention. And then it meant that then the token around that side, I think it was called like Simulcrum or something like that, did pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
The EMP token obviously also like giga pumped. But I don't think any of the other tokens on that platform did very well. I think Chaos
No,
was
no, they
like the
didn't.
only one.
They didn't. But like this was just an example of like how you have people who aren't like looking at the fundamentals of anything. They're just seeing the it's just an attention trade. Like AXBT tweets this, okay, I'll ape this. I don't think there's anything like that people are buying those kind of tokens for to do with anything with the tech. People might think that they're buying it because the tech is so cool, but in reality, it's just because it's of an attention trade. And I think in the coming weeks, like this agent space is going to get even more crazier. There's going to be even more kind of crazy things that gets launched that actually have maybe some on-chain use. Maybe you'll have agents that will start like, you know, yield farming and doing all kinds of crazy stuff on chain. I mean, we're getting there already, I think. But yeah, I think that'll be kind of the next step, I think.
Yeah,
And what
100%.
happens is the money that gets chucked into like some of these other AI agent coins just rotates out.
Maybe it flows back to the Murad coins, man.
Maybe someone's just commented when IVX agent.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I mean that would be quite cool.
I do think you're going to see more platforms integrate just like AI, kind of like not quite support, but like you know, various ways of integrating AI into, like, for example, being able to place orders by like writing a prompt instead of having to like place it all yourself, so that TWAPs in for you over the course of a week or something like that.
Yeah, 100%,
I know a
100%.
couple
I
of
think we will
exchanges
see that. I think
doing
we'll
that.
start
And
seeing
it's
that
very
next week,
exciting.
actually, Nico. I think we'll start seeing that
Oh,
from next
really?
week. Yeah.
Okay, nice.
A
Yeah,
few,
we consider doing something like that for Ox. I think it's just not a huge priority for us, but at some point, for sure, probably.
yeah, I think similar thing on our side as well. But yeah, I think this week I did actually speak with some teams who are like bringing agents to life, like with on-chain stuff. So yeah, I think some of them are looking to launch stuff next week. So I think that stuff will be pretty cool. But yeah, like I think we're still playing a bit of musical chairs right now.
Exactly. Yeah, I was just actually at dinner with some of the Woo exchange guys, and like they're going to be adding some AI kind of stuff into their exchange, similar to this as well. So
Very cool, very cool. So like it seems like AI and memes are like still the play for the cycle. I mean, do you think there's a chance that we'll get any other sector like kind of actually compete with those two for the rest of the year? Like in actually 2025 even as well.
I mean, you saw altcoins rip pretty crazy recently.
Yeah, they did.
Who's to say these things can't, XRP can't make another move? I think it's anyone's game. I definitely think it's a different market to last cycle. But I do genuinely still think you're going to see a lot of altcoins do very well. I'd be interested to see if we see a shift back into NFTs in any kind of way, for example, in quite a way as we did before. I don't think it'll be quite that big, but I think it would still be big. The Pudgy token, for example, if Milady ever actually releases their token as well.
If OpenSea doesn't airdrop.
If OpenSea decides to, yeah, I don't think they will, but like if they do, and then Berachain and Monad and like these kinds of things, I think will be pretty interesting as well. You know more about these ecosystems than I do. I don't track too closely. I just luckily have a couple of friends that do, but I think those will be also like some wealth creation style events, and I think that considering they're more EVM compatible or based, I think that you're going to see like the limelight come back to ETH and like ETH native things, whether that be NFTs or other things. Again, like this cycle into next year. Like remember, still ETH is the only other asset with an ETF, and you've got Solana unlocks coming in the first couple months of next year as well.
Those unlocks, I think I'm seeing more and more people talk about. I wonder like to what extent they're priced in, because I think everyone in the world knows about them now. Yeah, Sol still absolutely ripped, you know, to 250, 260 to all-time highs. So yeah, let's see. I think I'm very, of course, I'm going to be very excited about chains like Berachain launching, especially because like there's just going to be like another meme coin craze happening within Berachain, and there's going to be like all these new tokens coming out as well, and just so many things to do. So like the total things to do is just up only for 2025. So like that.
I've had a couple of people hit me up over the last like week or two asking about asking for advice around launching meme coins that they want to do on Berachain, for example. It's going to be interesting, I think, for sure.
Yep. I think a lot of. I think we'll see. I'd like to think that we see like some meme coin that comes from Berachain that goes to a bill.
I think it's possible. I think it's possible for sure.
Yeah, but I don't know if it's going to be something that like people are aware of right now. There's already like some meme communities like already like growing quite a lot. I wonder if it's going to be one of them or if it's going to be completely something new that just comes out of nowhere and like just stealth launches like
Yeah,
catch
I just hope
the cabal by surprise.
it's not something too that is kind of like too involved in by the ecosystem like leads themselves.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe the bear chain cabal, whoever they are gonna cook something up as well. I don't know. We'll see. Well, I guess we'll see in due time.
I think it's kind of like inevitable though, because like the guys who are going to cook something good on a chain are the guys that are well connected in that chain. And
Yeah,
if you're well connected on a chain or an ecosystem or anything, you probably know the guys at the top that are running it. And so then they are obviously bullish on their own ecosystem and they want this thing to do well on their ecosystem.
yeah,
And so it's like inevitably they get their dirty little hands in it, and there's like not really much you can do about it. Like there's a lot of rumors around, for example, like Mu on Solana and like that kind of having a lot of ecosystem foundation kind of support. But hey, I guess it's not a bad thing. It's like went like a billion, so
yeah, yeah. As long as number goes up, I'm happy as well.
yeah. Maybe we shouldn't complain. You should just like it's just coping if you didn't get the alpha, I guess.
There's always opportunity. Like that's one of the things that I love about crypto is like you miss something. Okay, fine. You can be like, oh man, I wish I could have aped this at X market cap and it went up 100x. Well, just wait till tomorrow. There's something else. There's something new. Just try and find that one. So yeah, that's one of the things I love about crypto. Like you never ever are like sat in the dark for that long. There's if you're active, if you're reaching out and trying to find stuff happening, like there's stuff for you pretty much every day.
100%. I think you just got to keep clicking, man. That's it.
That's it. Right. I think that kind of wraps things up on my side, but I thought I'll open it up to the people watching, like if they had any comments and if they had any tickers, if they had any memes, if they have anything that they kind of want to talk about, any airdrops, whatever, like just let us know, and we can answer some questions before we wrap up. Just wanted to check with you, Nico. Do you have a hard stop at all?
Nah, no hard stop. But pleasure to be here. It's been good.
Yeah. So I guess what we could do right at the end is talk about Ox and like kind of what you can do on there. Maybe talk about some of the strategies that you can do as well. There's a lot of people watching, so I think there's some value there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, maybe I can share my screen or something and run through a couple of things.
Yeah, sweet.
Let's see if I can do this. Bang, bang. Yeah, I think the real like short case for Ox is like that you can pretty much, it's cross collateral, so you can deposit pretty much anything, and then you can basically trade everything on Ox. And we list a bunch of stuff like super early. We try to have almost everything tradable. We were the first place to have hyperliquid perps.
You launched Hype before Hype launched Hype.
Nah, we tried. You know what I mean? But we launched it a couple hours after it was live on Hyperliquid.
Yeah.
Same with the Hawk Tour token. I think we had the Hawk Tour token live for like 3 hours after it was like live on Meteora Radium, right? So a bunch of memes, like we have like even some fun like indexes. We made a Murad index, we made an Ansem index. We had a Hawk Tour index because she like put out a tweet saying some of the memes that she was bullish on. We have a Pump Fun index, which is like an index of basically the top coins on to make it out of Pump Fun. So Peanut, Mini, Goat, Mother, Mudeng, things like this.
Interesting.
We list all the AI agent kind of memes pretty early as well. You've got all the kind of like main ones you'll probably know, including even like Chaos and stuff like that.
Nice.
And yeah, there's just like a bunch of basic opportunity here for you to trade a lot of these things with pretty good liquidity and pretty high leverage, usually anywhere between 5 to 20x, depending on the size of the meme. And then we've also got this, we call it the degen feed, where basically people can make a trade and say a little something along with it. So like, let's say they want to short ETH and they think it's free money, then they can say that, right? And you can see someone's gone 100x short on ETH. And like you can link your Twitter and go to Twitter. So for example, when Mitch I Draw Line got banned, we were basically he was still able to post in the degen feed, even though you like couldn't post on Twitter. So you could say like tell people to buy the bottoms on certain memes or something like that. You got someone talking shit about their husband here, and I guess why not, right? We have I guess one interesting thing I can go over that you might find interesting is we have these we call them strategies, and these are basically grid trading strategies that scalp the market both on the way up and on the way down, and they're incentivized with OX rewards on top as well. And what they do is they basically are extremely profitable when the market is going sideways. So because they're basically like buying on the way down and they're selling on the way up constantly and like constantly scalping the market. So if you think that the market is going to be ranging sideways, then you could potentially like benefit from the P&L of the vault and also be earning 400% APY in OX. And the reason we incentivize these things so heavily is because by deposits in these kind of like strategies, basically scalping the market constantly, it flywheels volume on the exchange and also like makes the funding much more reasonable for the average user because it's basically taking the opposite of the rest of the market. So as the market's going up, these strategies are typically short. As the market goes down, these strategies are typically long. And so that basically makes the liquidity, especially on majors on the exchange, much better. So users can use meme coins as collateral to trade, these majors and anything else on the exchange. So if you wanted to deposit, Retardio, if you wanted to deposit Brett, if you wanted to deposit Go, all kinds of things you can basically deposit as collateral and trade on the exchange.
And how wild does the funding go for some of these like proper long tail meme coins? How crazy can it actually go?
It can go pretty crazy. For the, I'd say smart traders, there's a lot of opportunity to kind of buy spot, short perps,
Yeah.
and earn pretty crazy funding. You do need to kind of hedge your exposure in OX because all the positions are underlining OX. So that means that if the price of OX goes up, let's say 100%, your P&L will also be varied by 100%. So you need to kind of like rebalance your per position in line with your spot, or buy more spot if the price of OX goes up massively.
Mhm.
But you can see most of the funding here. If I go yearly just so you can see it, but think on FOG, for example, right now the funding is like 800%. Like for some reason, everyone is like max long FOG right now.
Yeah.
Not sure why. There's also pretty good funding on Bitcoin, ETH, Sol, and stuff like that. If you wanted to go short, hype is pretty insane. You can see everyone is like max short hype right now on OX apparently. But yeah, it's pretty high. So like there's definitely opportunities to short some of this stuff as well.
Yeah, that seems pretty interesting because like if the liquidity is fairly deep, if the order book's like deep, then you can size in quite nicely into some of this stuff, and yeah, then earn like a few percent every day, just from funding rate
Yeah,
arbs.
there's a lot of guys who do some crazy funding rate arbs on OX, and you can even see like the difference we have compared to Binance and Bybit and Hyperliquid, for example, as well. So you can like directly see the kind of opportunities that are here.
Interesting. Well, either way, I think it's super cool. You're really like pioneering like derivative trading for memes. And I hope to see lots of bearer chain memes like coming up on Ox like
We will,
in the next
we
month.
will. I'm hoping you're going to be my Barachain meme plug as to like what we should be listing as well.
I'll try.
I'll keep up, but like you can help me out as well.
Sounds good. Yeah, awesome. Any questions from anyone? I mean, I can see we've got some people actually commenting that they actually love what you're building as well. So that's lovely to see. I just wanted to say to everyone else on your lovely Friday, kind of listening to us two yap about memes. Any last questions from anyone before we wrap up? I'll just give them like a minute or two, and then we can kind of wrap things up. Someone said OX Fun and IVX are cool. Appreciate it. It seems like they're a bearer as
Very
well.
cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Very
Thanks,
cool.
ASICS.
All right. I'm not
Yeah,
seeing any. I'm not seeing many
feel free to
comments.
DM us with any questions. as
Yeah,
well.
yeah. I think Nico, like everyone can go and follow him. And you can always tweet at him anytime, and I'm sure he'll reply. Similarly on my side as well, if you want to learn about IVX or you want to trade on IVX, look, we have I mean, it's different to meme coins, but I think zero DTEs give you crazy leverage. You know, you want to trade 300x leverage on Bitcoin, yeah, do it on IVX. Do it on OX Fun as well, on Ox as well, if you really want to. Yeah, I think the great thing is like we have lots of choice, and there's different instruments for everyone. So go and play around with them, have some fun. There's probably juicy rewards, you know, all over the place in this kind of market, actually. So yeah, as Nico said before, keep clicking buttons, and like
Keep clicking.
yeah, keep clicking, and it'll turn out well for you. So I think with that, I'm happy to wrap things up here. There's like over 600 of you tuning in, so appreciate all of your time today. It was good fun, and we'll definitely do it again sometime. So yeah, awesome. Thanks, Nico. Appreciate your time as well.
Awesome. Absolute pleasure, man. Thanks everyone for watching.